it's going to be part 4 to What If Naruto was a Vampire. The last part where we left off was towards the end of the first phase of the exam, the written exam. So, what happened to the last part was Uncle burst through the window with a sign. It cut Naruto's cheek, and people noticed his healing factor and whatnot. And that's really what happened toward the end of part 3. So, going on to part 4, the team the teams have a few days just to recuperate after the test and whatnot, even though it wasn't really anything too serious. After those few days of just a little bit of practice to get ready for the Forest of Death, all the teams all the teams that pass the first phase go to the second phase of the exam. So we're only going to be focusing on Naruto's team. No other team, no Gaara and other them right now. So starting up for now, Team 7 goes to the front gate, getting their Heaven or Earth scroll. I don't know. I don't remember exactly what scroll they had. I think it was a Earth scroll, but I don't know. So tell me if I was wrong or something. I'll probably fix it. So starting up, each team goes into the forest one at a time. So some teams set up traps. Some teams waited for enemies to come by, so they would be an easy kill, or just to steal their scroll, or like intimidation. But that's besides the point. Naruto's team starting off there would notice they needed some way to get food because they're going to be there for like the next week. I think it was like 5 days. They're gonna be there for like for the next 5 days. So the team found it quite easy just to find fish because what Naruto had done, well actually what Sasuke had done, was he shot a a great Uchiha style fireball jutsu into the water, which boiled the water so it was really hot, and all the fish inside the vicinity of the water would kind of like inhale hot water and they'd like die. YouTube, do not demonetize me. It's a cartoon. It's not real fish. So, with that said, the team had a way of food as well as water because they had boiled it, so the water wouldn't have too much contamination inside of it. So the team would gather food and water for the next few days. Throughout that time, we're going to skip forward a few hours to where the team meets Orochimaru. No, skipping backwards, my fault. We're going to skip a little forward to where the team meets. I forget. I haven't watched the Naruto series in a long time. It's been a few years. I think. Yeah, okay. So them going to the forest, they would be walking around, and out of nowhere, they get caught in a genjutsu, also beating Kobuto. I'm pretty sure that's what happened first. When they had met Kobuto, they had went through and whatnot, getting caught for the genjutsu. But it changed a little bit throughout the thingy. So when this would happen, the team would easily dispose of the opposite team, the guys who kind of got themselves a genjutsu and tried jumping them. Naruto would easily take care of them without Sakura, Sasuke, or Kobuto actually having to help. So going on to the second part where Kobuto had left the team going to go find his teammates, Orochimaru would pop out of nowhere. Actually, Orochimaru would be listening in on the team, hearing them say their secret password. But it was kind of a trick for the enemies, not so much for Naruto to actually know it. So when Naruto went to go pee, the snake would eat him. Actually, no, the snake wouldn't eat him. Naruto would sit there. He'd stare at the snake, making it feel fear, and then the snake would obey Naruto. When this happened, Naruto sat there for a good 20 minutes or so, playing with the snake, telling it to go there, there, and at that point, it had become one of his summoning animals. Orochimaru, noticing one of his summoning animals would not despawn, he had seen that one of them had got a new master. When Orochimaru had noticed this, he didn't think too much of it because he could just make new snakes and whatnot. And now that Orochimaru has invaded the team, Sasuke would attack him and whatnot, seeing that Naruto had a cut on his cheek, and his holster is supposed to be on the right side and the left side like Orochimaru's was. At that point, Orochimaru would turn back to his normal self, transformed, stealing the face, transformed as the hidden Rain Village ninja's body face that he had stolen. I think, yeah, and he would use I guess it was kind of a precognition ability to put fear into Sakura and Sasuke's heart. When this would happen, everything would go per canon with with Sasuke and Sakura running away from Orochimaru and hiding. After a while, Orochimaru would find them, and Sasuke and Orochimaru would begin to fight. Throughout this time of them fighting, Orochimaru would be fighting with Sasuke. Sasuke, almost out of chakra, fighting Orochimaru was kind of futile, judging by him, actually, judging by Sasuke being Sasuke and him still being a kid. So, after this happened, Orochimaru would bite Sasuke in the neck, giving him the curse mark. Sasuke would pass from exhaustion and the pain of Orochimaru inflicting the curse mark. At that time, Naruto had jumped from a high tree, dropping down onto the branch where Sasuke was, protecting him from Orochimaru going in for a second attack when he was down. At that point, Orochimaru would successfully place the curse mark on Sasuke. When this would happen, Naruto would see Sasuke there struggling on the ground. So Naruto would be kind of angry about this, trying to kill Orochimaru. At this point, Naruto had started using the unleash a little bit of Kurama's chakra. When this would happen, Naruto would have a little bit of an edge versus Orochimaru, but nothing too much because he's still a kid and Orochimaru is a Sanin, don't really care, and Orochimaru being a Sanin. So Naruto fighting Orochimaru wouldn't really be too much of a battle for him, but Orochimaru would still use a five-pronged seal against Naruto, incapacitating him, knocking him out. When Sakura woke up, she would see Naruto and Sasuke both on a tree stump, on a giant tree branch knocked out. Sakura would grab both of her teammates, bring them under a tree, like as in canon, putting a rag over Sasuke's head, and just leaving Naruto there. I really hate Sakura. So, 1 second. So when the Sound Ninja would come and kind of mess with Sakura, Sakura would kind of get beamed. Sakura would kind of get beamed. So, but that's besides the point and whatnot. So, during the fight of Sakura fighting the team, Sakura would cut her hair, and after that happened, I think Rock Lee had came and was there swapping hands with the guy with the thing on his wrist that shot sound out. After a while, Rock Lee would become incapacitated due to his ears bleeding and whatnot. And when that would happen, everybody else would show up, like Ten, Neji, Shikamaru, Shoji, and Ino, and each and what's his name? Neji would grab Lee, bring him with them, leaving. But when Naruto had woken up, no, when Sasuke had woken up, backtrack a little bit. When Sasuke had woken up, he had broken the guy's arms, as you know, as in canon. And then everybody had came, and after everybody was going to leave, Naruto had woken up. When Naruto had woken up, he checked his pouch, seeing a Heaven and Earth scroll, wondering how he got the second one. Them not knowing how they got the second scroll, they wouldn't really care too much about it. They would go to the tower, getting ready to pass the exam. So we went to the next part. When they got to the tower, they talked to Haruka Sensei, telling him how they had passed and whatnot. After this, what happened? Everybody would leave the forest going home. Naruto going home would be exhausted because he was kind of carrying his team, but at the same time, it was still daytime, so he was weakened. He couldn't really use much of his vampire abilities. If you're wondering why Naruto just didn't like fold Orochimaru, yeah, it was kind of daytime, so he was kind of weak. He was actually a lot weaker because at nighttime, most of Naruto's strength comes out, but he's quite weak during the day. There you go. To other people who are going to be like, what? What do you mean? But going on to the next part, everybody would get about a month, I think. I think it was a month time for training. Yeah, I think it was a month to prepare for the tuning exams. Inside this part, there isn't going to be a preliminary. Actually, there has to be a preliminary. It makes more sense. So the preliminary exams would happen. Everything would go as in canon. You already know everybody who won, who lost if you actually watch the Naruto series. So starting up during the 1 month training, Naruto instead of going with Jiraiya, he'd go with his grandfather, father, and great grandfather, Dracula, Alucard, and Minato. Oh yeah, and I also had seen a comment that um, Alucard was 50% vampire, Minato was 25% vampire, and they said that Naruto was like 15% vampire. I don't know, by a bit 5%. So Naruto really not being too much of a vampire wouldn't have to consume blood as like sustenance. He eat normal food, but at times he would get the urge to drink blood or like eat human flesh, but he was able to restrain himself at most times. As I said, most times. So Naruto, knowing the way to get to the flying castle, when he had got there, he walked up the dark alleyway, no, up the dark stairs to the room where he would usually train with his father and grandfather. Naruto would then unsheath his katana, stabbing him into the ground, sitting there and meditating, waiting for his father Alucard to get there. At this time, Alucard and Minato were actually out for quite a bit. Naruto was there meditating for a good 3 days. But at the beginning, Naruto had woken up inside of his psyche, seeing the Nine Tails. Naruto would then say, "Hey, who the heck are you?" The Nine Tails would then say, "Boy, don't you dare disrespect me. You're a mere human." Naruto saying, hearing that, would wonder who the heck this fox is and why is it so big. Naruto wouldn't really be scared of Kurama. He would just wonder who he was because he had seen much bigger animals. So after the 3 days, since his time moves a lot slower inside of the Nine Tails realm, it had felt like he had been. Oh man, my fault. Time moves a lot faster inside the Nine Tails realm, but Naruto would think he had been there for a good few hours. But when he had opened his eyes and woken up, he was out of a bed, laying on his back. He had been sleeping for 3 days. When he had woken up, he had gotten up, going to the kitchen, and the ugh, people had made food and whatnot for all of them. When this would happen, Naruto would eat breakfast, going to the training facility, where his father and Alucard would be waiting for him. Naruto, during this training arc, um, I might make a separate video on the training arc. It's like 15 minutes long. If you guys want that to happen, make sure to get this to 15 likes at least. Actually, I'm pretty sure that part 3 got to a good 50 something likes. So 60 likes for the training arc. I'm gonna skip it for now. So after the time of Naruto training, he'd double his strength times 5. Naruto going back to the hidden leaf would look a lot stronger. His hair had become more silver and he had grown a bit. Plus, you could kind of see Naruto's fangs a lot more when he'd open his mouth. People wouldn't really notice it at times, but now you see it a lot more. judging by Naruto's goofy attitude and him smiling a lot. So going back, Naruto would usually be levitating around the castle. So Naruto, after being there for a month at the castle, would be levitating, going to the Hidden Leaf. And when people had seen him, they were like, "Who the heck is that? Why is he flying?" Naruto, remembering that normal people couldn't fly, he would drop back down to the ground and hid until the people didn't really care anymore and walked back into their homes and doing their jobs. Alright. So after that, Naruto would go meet up with his team, starting up for the third phase of the Chunin exams. Everybody would have gotten stronger and whatnot, and all that stuff had happened. So we on to the next part, where the Chunin exam would start. We're going to be starting off with Neji and Naruto's fight. The fight would go a lot different. When the fight had started, Naruto would unsheath both katanas. He stick them into the ground, generating some heat into its blades, turning them a crimson gold type color, pinkish gold. When this would happen, Naruto would then grab the blades out of the ground, seeing that the spot where the blades were looking into the hole looked like molten lava. It had spewed up out of the ground when Naruto grabbed it. Naruto, running towards Neji, would have two flaming hot swords. Neji would be kind of scared and wouldn't really be ready for a fight like this. When this would happen, Neji would dodge quite easily, but Naruto knew that Neji would dodge. So Naruto used the what's it called again? Um, 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 not flash step. That's like I'm pretty sure flash step is like bleach. Body flicker. Would use body flicker and was behind Neji. Neji, not really being ready for Naruto, Naruto would appear behind Neji, kick him in the back, sending him flying. At this time, Naruto had put a seal on Neji's back. As you know, Minato was still alive and taught Naruto the Flying Raijin and Rasengan. So, when he had put a seal on him, he had to put it on his back. Naruto would run back up to Neji before he could hit the wall, kicking him into the sky, and then teleporting above him, dropping down and hitting him in the back by like stepping on him and hitting him in the back. When Neji was there on the ground, he'd be practically half dead, pretty weakened, and Neji would just sit there on the ground, kind of paralyzed. The fight would pretty much end pretty quickly, and when Hiyashi Hyuga seen this, he was surprised that anybody could simply beat Neji that easily. And when that had happened, oh, actually, yeah. So Sasuke going against Gaara would go the same, and all the other fights would go the same. Alright. So going forward to where Gaara went like full on insane and ran into the forest. Alright. Sorry if I'm saying next and alright and what's happening next a lot. I'm kind of doing this off my head because I wrote the script out and I kind of lost my notebook. And I kind of have the gist of what's going on inside the series right now, of what I'm thinking about. But I don't really know exactly what's happening. So if I'm saying okay and or whatnot and what's going on, sorry for all the pauses. So what's gonna happen next? There I go again. So Gaara going into the forest would be chased by Naruto, Sasuke, and a few others. As well as Sakura, even though she's quite useless. No one cares about Sakura. Alright. So everybody would kind of take one and whatnot. Going on to the next part where Sakura would get caught by Gaara. Gaara catching Sakura with his Shikaku hand would keep her cemented there, so Naruto would kind of have a reason to fight. When this would happen, Naruto would easily take out Gaara because Naruto's like 20 times as strong as he was in inside the cannon. And when this would happen, Naruto would easily free Sakura after breaking it with a Crimson Rasengan. You'll see that later. The Crimson Rasengan would break the cemented Shikakugan up against a tree, and everything would go as in canon afterwards. Sasuke would have easily gotten knocked out by Gaara and him overusing his curse mark and Sharingan. And I think after this part is where we go into the hospital arc. But for now, I'm gonna end it here. This was your boy, Unknown